Philip Rivers is back. We'll tell you what that means for all of the Colts weapons and who will be their starting quarterback in 2026 next.
You are Locked On Dynasty Football, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On Dynasty Football Podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We'd like to thank you for making us the #1 sports podcast network. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. If you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your live bets all season long. Welcome back. I am your host, Marcus Mosher. He is Matt Williamson, former NFL scout. On today's show, we're going to take a look at a lot of different topics, including some dynasty players to watch over the next month, how to handle your fantasy football playoffs if you're already out of contention. But I want to start with this Colts situation because I find it fascinating. Matt, let's talk short term first. With Philip Rivers coming back, how much do you think this helps, hurts all of the other weapons in Indianapolis for the final 4 games?
Compared to what? Compared to where we were with Daniel Jones, compared to other options, compared to Riley Leonard. I don't think it moves the needle in the real world in terms of, the Colts are going to run the table and against an awful schedule and get in the playoffs. But I do have great respect for Rivers. I mean, as last seen 5 years ago, I guess him and Steichen are super close, and he knows the offense like the back of his hand. And he also helped Riley Leonard with some pre-draft stuff, so he's familiar with him. So he can kind of act as a coach if Leonard's going to be doing any quarterbacking the next couple of weeks. Who knows? I guess I'm, as a Pittman Downs Pierce owner, I'm slightly 2% happy about it, that he should be able to distribute the ball, for the rest of the year.
I'm concerned, honestly, Matt. I think this is it's a really cool story. I'm glad to see Philip Rivers back.
Yeah.
But he hasn't played football in 5 years. Like, it's going to take him a couple of weeks to even get up to the speed of the NFL. And the last time we saw him against Buffalo, like, the arm was just gone.
Yeah.
And my fear is that they've got a really hard schedule the final 4 games of the season. We only care about the final 3 for fantasy football playoffs, right? Mm-hmm. And there's a chance that he is so bad and so rusty that it just completely takes out all of the efficiency and all the fantasy points for any of these guys. Like, I have Jonathan Taylor in a bunch of leagues. I'm scared to death. Teams are going to load the box. The Colts are going to struggle to get first downs, and we're going to see them get just blown out the next couple of weeks.
Oh, I think that's exactly what's going to happen. But, I mean, if they didn't sign him, I think that was going to happen.
Right, 100%. Yes, I agree. Like, Brett Rippon and Riley Leonard are just as bad. But I think I think people see Philip Rivers and just assume, okay, hey, at least there's going to be some stability there.
Oh,
I think there's a chance this is awful.
Like, I can't believe this isn't real dynasty related. I can't believe he gave up his Hall of Fame, reset his clock 5 more years to probably not play this week, maybe not play next week. By then, they're going to be almost close to eliminated. Go out there when he can't protect himself. I mean, for the love of the game, I get it. But, man, I think this is a nuts decision if you're him.
Real quick, before we move on to, like, the long-term part here, is it crazy to consider benching guys like Jonathan Taylor and Tyler Warren because of the quarterback situation? I know we always say start your studs, but man, I'm looking at the Seattle matchup like this week and thinking, will they even get 10 first downs?
I think you have to put Taylor out there.
Okay.
I mean, you don't look at him like a running back 1. I mean, if I were to do running back ranks on a weekly basis, he would drop precipitously, I mean, without question.
Well, let me give you an example, a real life example. I've got Tyler Warren and Mark Andrews in a dynasty league, and Mark Andrews is playing the Bengals this week. I know he's been, rough lately. That's a Bengals defense that's really bad against tight ends.
Really bad.
I'm thinking about playing Mark Andrews over Tyler Warren.
I would.
Yeah. Okay.
I absolutely would.
All right.
So who do we think's quarterbacking the Colts this week?
Probably Riley Leonard. I mean, maybe.
Healthy? Right.
I don't know. All right, long-term perspective here with with Daniel Jones tearing his Achilles, who do you think ends up being the quarterback for the Colts in 2026?
See, I didn't even know we were going to do this, but I threw it out on Twitter like an hour ago. Because I don't think it can be Daniel Jones. I mean, I've done a little bit of homework on this just in the 24 hours. Apparently, the breaks in his leg all have to heal before he can even start rehabbing the Achilles.
Which
so
makes
not
sense.
only, yeah, totally makes sense. So not only is a December Achilles, injury, awful problem for trying to get ready for week 1, but he's going to start even later because he's got a broken leg.
Right.
So, I mean, I think we all know that after the Sauce trade, everyone on the planet just assumed, and Daniel Jones's agent was probably the happiest guy out there because we got him over the barrel. They have no other options to go get a quarterback. They're going to give Jones whatever I want. Now I don't think you can if you're the Colts, or I don't know how you even sign him, but
I mean, I think you sign him to a 1 or 2 year deal that's very, very low cap number, a lot of incentive based on games played, but that can't be your only quarterback. And we know it's not going to be Anthony Richardson.
I
think Richardson. He's on a different team next year, right? I just don't see Richardson being back. So the option is do you go out and try to sign a placeholder until Daniel Jones is healthy? I mean,
well,
I guess
let's start here. Could it be Leonard? I'm talking about week 1 starter.
No.
Could it be Leonard or Rivers? How about Rivers?
Next year? No way. No way.
Okay. I mean, I'm really reaching. Then these are the other names I came up with. I think this is the best one. Mariota.
I mean, maybe.
I mean, there's not much out there. Could they be the Mac Jones trade team?
I think it's possible, but I also don't think you're going to – I don't think Kyle Shanahan's going to let Mac Jones out of that building unless they're getting significant capital.
And you tell Daniel Jones to pound salt.
Probably.
Right. Kyler?
That seems like a bad fit, but
oh yeah, I think he's a bad fit everywhere. But
yeah.
And then here's a crazy one. They just got Rivers out of retirement. How about Derek Carr?
That one makes a lot more sense.
I actually kind of like that one.
Yeah, you let Derek Carr, heal up for a year. He was pretty banged up. I wouldn't be surprised if it's something like that.
Yeah.
I also wouldn't be surprised if it's a really unappealing name like Mason Rudolph is our starting quarterback for the first 8 games of the season until Daniel Jones comes back. It's
not
just
going to be Wentz.
It's not going to be Wentz. It's not going to be. It's
Jameis.
It's just a mess. I feel terrible for Colts fans because you had this offense that was really clicking, and now we're back into the quarterback abyss, and there's no future in sight.
And they've been in the abyss since Luck hung it up.
Yeah.
I mean, they're like the Steelers every year. They just go get somebody else. So
one more thing. Do you think there's any chance they swing for the fences? And let me give you a couple swing for the fences things that I know sound crazy, but we see crazy things happen every year. Any chance of a Jalen Hurts trade? Shane Steichen worked with Jalen Hurts. They played really well together.
Crazy. I don't know if you and I have had this conversation, but okay. So what about Cousins too? That's not a swing for the fence. That's the other name I just want to throw out there.
No, that's a get us through till November.
Right. But okay, so I'm in one Superflex league, and my roster is so bad. I mean, it's an embarrassing team. I lose every week. I can't even put out a team that has a chance to win. It's horrible. All my good players are like neighbors and hurt, and there's no injured reserve. So I have Derek Carr on that roster still. I mean, that's kind of why I'm having this Colts conversation is some rando could be the starting quarterback on that team.
100%.
And I have Tanner McKee on that team. And I don't think you and I have had this conversation, but the league values Tanner McKee a lot. I think the Eagles could value Tanner McKee a lot. If you could turn Hurts into a pick, you know what I mean?
Well, and I think that's why I'm naming Hurts is because
I know I like it.
Shane Steichen has had a lot of success with, and if things really bottom out in Philly, they lose in round 1 and Hurts continues to play this way, I wouldn't be surprised if we're at least hearing conversations. I'm not predicting that. The other one I wanted to mention is Baker Mayfield. I think Baker started the season out really well, and then it's been pretty rough the last 2 months. He's going into a contract year next year. And I think Tampa Bay is going to have to make a decision. Like, do we give Baker, who's making, I think he's the 19th highest paid quarterback in the league right now, do we make him a top 5 highest paid guy, give him $60 million to continue to go 9-8 in a weak division? Or do we kind of start the rebuild, trade Baker for some picks? Because I could see Indianapolis being interested in a quarterback like that.
Yeah, and they could definitely they could probably sell themselves on, we might be able to win the South and more with Baker.
Yeah, exactly. And Bryce Young is the other quarterback I was going to mention. But I think the Colts are going to have to be aggressive finding somebody else, because Kirk Cousins and Derek Carr and Mason Rudolph are not the most exciting names for a team that does have championship aspirations. Matt, let's talk about
name Flacco. Bring Flacco back. Like, I actually think that could happen. Like,
I mean, I think
Flacco and Daniel Jones.
I think the Bengals should just cut Flacco right now and let him sign with the Colts. That'd be a lot more fun. All right, let's talk about some dynasty players to watch over the final month of the regular season. Who could really pop? We'll get to that next. This episode is brought to you by Mint Mobile. You know, there's no reason to let big wireless drain your wallet, especially during the holidays. And right now, Mint Mobile is running their best deal of the year. All of their unlimited plans are 50% off. That means you can lock in 3, 6, or even 12 months of unlimited premium wireless for just $15 a month. It's the easiest way to take your overpriced phone bill and give it the full Scrooge treatment. And what makes this even better is how simple Mint has made the switch. No contracts, no nonsense, just real savings and real quality service. Switching to Mint just takes minutes. You can even bring your own phone and number without any issues. So turn your expensive wireless present into a huge wireless savings by switching to Mint. Shop Mint Unlimited plans at mintmobile.com/LockedOnNFL. That is mintmobile.com/LockedOnNFL. Limited time offer, upfront payment of $15 per month required. Taxes and fees, initial plan term only. 35 gigabytes or higher may slow when network is busy. Capable devices required. Availability, speeds, and coverage varies. See mintmobile.com for details. Welcome back to the Locked On Dynasty Football Podcast. We'd like to thank you for making us the #1 sports podcast network. You already live your team every day, but why don't you take it to the next level and go ad-free? Join the Everydayer Club and get Locked On Dynasty with no interruptions, members-only Discord access, and more, all for just $5 a month or $50 a year. So go to lockedondynasty.supercast.com or check out the link in the show notes to learn more. All right, Matt, let's talk about some players that we are excited to watch over the last month of the season, because we know how this happens. Every year there's a couple players that end up breaking out that we get really excited about over the offseason. So who are a couple names that you are keeping an eye
on? I think the first place to look is young running backs. Now, yes. I don't have a list in front of me, but I always use the Willie Parker example because I'm in Pittsburgh. I mean, like, the Steelers sat everybody in week 17 one year. This Willie Parker undrafted free agent's going to get the carries, and whoa, okay, we got something here, you know. Fresh legs late in the year, particularly young guys that aren't worn down, to me is really the direction to look here. I guess we could go through, you know, like, could the young pup from the Chiefs burst out?
Rashad Smith. Yep, I see that. Yeah,
you know, those type of guys. And
well, I'll give you a couple. I think, like,
great.
Listen, I'm talking about the Steelers. Jaylen Wright looked really good for Miami last week.
Yeah.
Really, really good. And if he gets an opportunity to play against the Steelers defense, you know, as a starter this week, we'll see about Devon Achane. I think Jaylen Wright, who is somebody that Miami traded up for, they gave up a future 3rd-round pick for Wright. He's in a really fun offense. He is somebody that I would not be surprised has a really strong, end of the season. And now we're really excited about him going into the offseason.
That's a great one. And they have totally dedicated themselves to the run game too.
Yep.
I mean, Tua's turned the ball over too much. He doesn't improvise all that well. The passing game's all about Waddle, and they're all about the run game, and they're winning and they're saving jobs. That's the exact path I think you want to look for. Although I do think Achane probably plays this week.
Yeah, I think he probably does as well. But maybe they just start using 17. Both of them. Maybe they just use both of them a lot, because Achane is a little bit banged up right now. A couple other names that I wanted to throw out to you. Isaac TeSlaa for the
Mm-hmm.
Detroit Lions, starting to play some more. Now, I know there was some injuries. Amon-Ra St. Brown was banged up last week, but that's somebody that continues to get opportunities for Detroit. And I just won't be surprised if he puts together a couple big games to end the season. And now, somebody who's being valued at wide receiver 76, by the time we get to February, he's like wide receiver 45.
I think that's a good one. My only complaint is the Lions might be a little too good for that.
Yeah, they might be.
You know what I mean? Like,
yep.
Who's the Viking? The Dolphin, as you said.
How about Isaiah Bond for Cleveland?
Okay, that's now we're talking. These young guys that haven't given it up.
Yeah, and Shadour's playing much better than what they've had over the course of the season. I don't know if Jerry Jeudy's long for Cleveland. I wouldn't be surprised if the Browns draft a receiver early, but if Bond can kind of lock up that wide receiver 2 spot, maybe that's somebody that we can get excited about long term.
How about a Titan receiver, or is that ship sailed? I mean, I haven't seen a lot
like,
out of those
like
guys.
DK or Ao Manor. I mean, maybe I don't love any. I'll give you a guy. How about Pat Bryant for the Broncos? Now, I know the Broncos are maybe too good for this conversation,
but they're
just desperately looking for anybody else in the passing game.
Yeah. Kyle Williams for New England's kind of the same guy,
another example
of situation like that. I mean,
AD Mitchell with the Jets.
Absolutely. And maybe even the Bama dude that they traded for from the Texans too in New York, Mechie. Those type of guys. I mean, I think we're laying out the prototype here well, like talented dudes that, maybe aren't fully formed by any stretch of the imagination. Team liked them a lot long ago. Maybe they don't have anything to play for. Just throw them in there. Jack Bash.
Exactly. Now, how do you? One of the things that's really challenging is what do we do with these guys that put up big, performances at the end of the year? Like these spike games, like 1 or 2 games that are awesome, but you just saw nothing in the first 15, 16 games of the regular season. Should we overreact to the latest performances, or because I've been burned by this before with receivers that have huge week 16, week 17 games and then just do nothing the rest of the way.
I think a good way to look at that is, does the team think that they filled a need by that? Like, for example, those 2 Jets receivers. Might the Jets be done at wide receiver saying, okay, we got Garrett Wilson. Now we have Mechie and Mitchell. We have so many other issues. They played well enough at the end. I'm not going to go down the receiver path with any subsequent or any, substantial offseason collateral. I'm going to go build a defense. I'm going to just trade up for a quarterback, whatever, or Jack Bash. Can he be my Jacoby Myers? I'm like, I can sell myself on that. I have so many other needs. If it's a team like, I'm actually not coming up with a great example, but somebody flashes, like could Bond or Tillman really show you enough to tell the Browns a story that they don't need a receiver? Right. Probably not,
I want to give you one more. And this is just from watching the games the last couple of weeks, but every time the Ravens are playing and they hand the ball to Keaton Mitchell, I just think their offense is better. Derrick Henry is still a valuable running back, but man, there's so many parts of his game that are declining where Keaton Mitchell is just so much more explosive. Is that somebody that if he has a strong end of the season, I know he's a little banged up right now, but could potentially be a starting running back in Baltimore next year? Because I just don't see any way Derrick Henry can be the same guy in 2026.
Yeah, I agree with all of that, except I think what their path will be is they'll take a 3rd round running back. With a little bit of size to kind of be the heir apparent.
It's possible. I just think Keaton Mitchell's good. I know he can't stay on the field, but he's good.
He is. I just don't think. I think he's Darren Sproles. Like the size thing worries me.
Yeah.
I mean, he could be a better version of Hill over the years.
Of Justice Hill.
Hill. I mean, a much better version.
And I think that's the concern. Is like it seems like they're pretty set on only giving him a certain number of touches and doing so in a way that protects him a little bit. But I am looking at that, Baltimore backfield because I would not be surprised if the Ravens move on from Derrick Henry after this year and try to get younger and a little bit more, I don't want not faster because Derrick Henry's still fast, but quicker. And I think that's the biggest part of his game that's lacking right now.
I 1,000% agree. I bet they do something to their backfield,
yes,
without question, that might catch people by surprise. How about two downtrodden backfields right now, Washington and Arizona? Is it Benson only?
As I say, doesn't sound like Benson's coming back this year,
Yeah,
right? And that's really discouraging considering his injury history. And Washington to me feels like a team that's going to be in on like Breece Hall and Kenneth Walker this offseason.
Ooh, yeah, that's a good approach. I think well, by that turn, I actually think the Jets might franchise Hall.
Probably, right? I wouldn't be surprised. But Kenneth Walker, I would not be surprised if he hits the open market and we just see Washington pay him an ungodly amount of money because they've got cap space and they need a running back.
Yeah, and that's kind of their style. They're the aggressive, go-get-them type team.
All right, let's talk about some playoff etiquette in your dynasty leagues. If you're out of the playoffs, should you still be making roster moves? We'll get to that next. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. NFL Sundays move fast. One big play, and suddenly everything feels different. And that's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds, every drive, every momentum swing, and every highlight moment. And live betting is at its best when the game starts to shift. And you can feel it when a receiver gets hot, a defense tightens up, or a momentum flips after the turnover. FanDuel lets you jump into that moment with live spreads and money lines that adjust instantly, player props that update as guys heat up, and you can bet on next touchdown scores, drive results, totals, and so much more. It keeps you locked into every snap, every drive, and every possibility. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all year long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. Welcome back to the Locked On Dynasty Football Podcast. We'd like to thank you for making us your first listen of the day. Matt, let's talk about some playoff etiquette. So, assuming you didn't make the playoffs, and I can't imagine you not ever making the playoffs in your dynasty.
Oh, it happens.
Yeah. What's the correct etiquette here? Because somebody actually scolded me this week from trying to make some roster moves on a team where I'm clearly out of it. But my point is, hey, I'm trying to upgrade my team. I'm trying to improve my roster long term. What are your thoughts on it?
I think we're playing this for the long haul. I mean, if this is redraft and you're out of it and you put in, you were a loser. Okay. You were a loser owner that just didn't pay enough attention. You got 90 of your $100 in fab, and this great player pops up, and you have one win, and you have no chance of losing, and there's no toilet bowl situation or sticking you in a dog cage or dressing you up funny if you come in last, and you put it all in on that guy. I think that's terrible. But in Dynasty, I think the opposite. Like if there's one of those players we mentioned, one of those young guys is still out there, has a nice game, and maybe he's part of my long-term build. Maybe going heavy on him, right? I mean, right. I mean, I'm trying to build my best team for next year.
Yeah, I think if you're just picking up, like if you're let's say, the 9th seed or 10th seed, and you're picking up Phillip Rivers to block the team that had Daniel Jones in the playoff, that's different. Like I understand why people would be upset with that. But if you're picking up, I'm just trying to think of a name, Michael Carter for the Cardinals.
Riley Leonard.
Yeah, exactly. You're picking up Riley Leonard because you think he could maybe be a long-term starter.
Yeah.
I think that is completely different. And that makes total sense to me.
Exactly. Right. I mean, if I'm that loser dynasty league that I'm in, if Leonard's available, I'm going to put all my fab on it to grab in Superflex. Why not? Even though I have no chance of winning because he might be their opening day starter next week.
Exactly. So now what about trades? Because I know there are some dynasty leagues that allow you to do trades all year long. And actually in my leagues, that's the way it's set up. I know there are some that really frown upon non-contending teams making trades during the fantasy football playoffs. What is your philosophy on that?
Yeah, in general, I think trade deadlines are kind of dumb, but I also think once you get to the playoffs, there should not be any trades just because if I have the best team and you and I are playing in the Super Bowl and loser team gives you McCaffrey and JSN for 100 first round picks or whatever.
Right.
that seems like dirty pool to me, you know?
Yes, I do think there's a way to make it where it makes sense for both sides, right? Because if you have McCaffrey and maybe you just missed the playoffs and you want to unload him now while he still has value, I do think that makes sense. But I think you have to get value. You can't just be trading these guys. Hey, I don't want McCaffrey anymore. I know he's not going to be valuable next year. I'm trading him to the number 1 seed for a 4th round pick. Like, I think that's where it gets a little wonky. So there has to be it has to be fair trades that I think most of the league would agree with.
Yeah. And some of it's just a hard thing for you and I to comment on. I think some of it just has to pass the sniff test. You know what I mean? Like,
and you more often than not, you're going to know it. Like when it's clear, it's not necessarily collusion, but when it's clear, like, hey, this is shifting the balance of the league too much and you're not getting clear value. That's when the commissioner might need to step in. But I think you and I, for the most part, we're completely against vetoes. Like we don't like commissioner vetoes. But I do think playoffs are a little different.
I think playoffs are a little different, 100%. And then that's when my radar goes up. And I do think probably trade deadline should be when the playoffs start, because if you are that owner with McCaffrey, you make a good point though. Like I was in it till the end and then I lost my last game, so I don't become a playoff team.
Well, what if you just make a deal that like playoff teams and non-playoff teams can't trade with each other? Like once you get to the postseason, because I could see a situation where the number 10 seed wants to trade with the number 8 seed. You know, they want to try to get this player who they think is going to break out. Let's say it's Luther Bird or whatever.
I need a receiver.
That makes sense to me. But if you're doing, hey, the 11th seed is trading with the 1 seed, that's where things can get a little hairy.
Yeah. Those non-playoff team trades really aren't much different than like rookie draft trades.
Exactly.
You know, we're all
there's no stakes in it.
Yeah. There's no stakes. Exactly. Now that's a good way of looking at it. Right. And if 2 playoff teams want to make a deal.
Right. Because maybe one of them has an injury at running back and one of them has an injury at wide receiver and they decide to make a trade and they think it benefits them both to help, maybe make a run to the championship. I think that makes sense as well.
Yeah. I mean, like, frankly, if we were both in the playoffs and for whatever reason, Daniel Jones was your best option that got you there and Matthew Stafford sitting on my bench, I'll give you him for a little more than he's worth. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe a 2nd round pick in the next year.
I get a 2nd round pick out of it. Yeah.
Exactly. All right. That is it for today's show. We want to thank you for making Locked On Dynasty Football your first listen every single day. Did Locked On Dynasty make your Spotify Wrapped? Prove it on social media to secure a free month of our brand new Everydayer Club. Just tag our national Locked On Podcast Network account on any platform, and we'll drop you a code. Be one of the first to join the Everydayer Club to get your favorite show ad-free and exclusive access to the members-only Discord channel. And for your second listen, check out the Locked On NFL podcast. 2 shows every single day. 1 in the morning with Tyler Rowland, 1 in the afternoon with Tony Wiggins, available wherever you get your podcasts. Follow Matt on Twitter at Williamson NFL. I'm at Marcus _Mosher, and we'll see you right back here tomorrow.